Imagine this. You're enjoying a peaceful weekend when suddenly your car breaks down. A wave of anxiety rushes over you as you realize this unexpected repair will cost hundreds, maybe even thousands of dollars. This is money you had not planned on spending, money that you may not have readily available. It's a situation that's all too familiar to many of us. Now, let's add another layer to this scenario. You've been living paycheck to paycheck, with little to no savings. The stress and financial strain of this unexpected emergency are amplified tenfold. You're left with a difficult choice. Go into debt to fix the car or struggle without it, potentially risking your job or other essential tasks that require transportation. It's a lose-lose situation, a financial nightmare that could have been avoided or at least mitigated. Now consider the same scenario, but with one crucial difference. You have an emergency fund. This is a stash of money you've set aside specifically for situations like this. With an emergency fund, the unexpected car repair becomes manageable. It's still an inconvenience, but it no longer threatens to send you spiraling into debt or financial instability. The stress and worry are significantly reduced, and you can focus on getting your car fixed and getting back to your normal life. That's the power of an emergency fund. It's a safety net that catches you when life throws you an unexpected curveball. It's a financial buffer that helps you navigate the unpredictable nature of life without sinking into debt or financial hardship. An emergency fund in this case would have been your financial safety net, saving you from additional stress and debt. But what exactly is an emergency fund? It's a question that floats around, and the answer is pretty straightforward. An emergency fund is essentially a stash of money you set aside specifically to cover financial surprises. These surprises can range from an unexpected medical bill, sudden car repair, or even a sudden loss of income. It's not a fun thing to think about, but these things happen, and it's always better to be prepared. The purpose of an emergency fund is to provide financial security by creating a safety net that can keep you afloat in times of financial stress. It acts as a buffer, keeping you from resorting to credit cards or loans to cover unexpected costs. This buffer reduces the stress associated with sudden expenses, allowing you to focus on resolving the issue at hand instead of worrying about the financial impact. An emergency fund isn't a luxury, it's a necessity for financial peace of mind. Remember, life is full of surprises, and while we can't predict them, we can certainly prepare for them. Simply put, an emergency fund is your financial buffer against life's unforeseen events. Now, you might be wondering, how do I set up an emergency fund? Well, fear not, because we're about to break it down into easy, manageable steps. First and foremost, you'll need to decide on the amount you want to save. A good starting point is $1,000. This should be enough to cover most minor emergencies, like a car repair or a minor medical bill. But don't stop there. As you become more comfortable with saving, aim to increase your emergency fund to cover 3 to 6 months' worth of living expenses. This can act as a safety net in case of a job loss or a major medical emergency. Next, you'll need to choose where to keep your emergency fund. The aim here is not to grow your wealth, but to have easy access to your money in case of an emergency. A high-yield savings account can be a good choice. This type of account will keep your money safe and accessible, while also earning you a small amount of interest. Now, let's talk about the timeline. Saving money takes time, especially if you're just starting out. So, set realistic goals for yourself. Maybe your first goal is to save up $1,000 in 6 months. Once you achieve that, aim for the next milestone. Remember, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Lastly, consider automating your savings. By setting up automatic transfers from your checking account to your savings account, you can ensure that you're consistently contributing to your emergency fund. This set it and forget it approach can make the process a whole lot easier. And there you have it. By deciding on an amount, choosing where to keep the fund, setting a timeline, and automating your savings, you're already well on your way to setting up your emergency fund. With these steps, setting up an emergency fund might be easier than you think. Got your emergency fund set up? Great. Now, how do you grow it? This is the question that many of us ask ourselves, and the answer is simpler than you might think. There are several strategies you can employ to increase your emergency fund, and we'll explore some of them right now. Firstly, consider automating your savings. This is a simple yet effective way to consistently grow your fund. By setting up automatic transfers from your primary account to your emergency fund, you ensure that a portion of your income goes directly into savings every month. It's like the old saying goes, out of sight, out of mind. When you automate, you're less tempted to spend that money elsewhere because it's already tucked away safely. Next, let's tackle the idea of cutting down expenses. This might seem daunting at first, but it's really about making smart choices. Perhaps you could make coffee at home instead of buying it every day, or maybe you can carpool to work to save on gas. These small changes can add up over time, leaving you with extra cash to funnel into your emergency fund. Finally, finding additional income sources can be a game changer when it comes to growing your fund. This could mean taking on a part-time job, freelancing, or even selling items you no longer need. This extra income can significantly boost your fund and speed up your journey towards financial stability. Remember, the aim is not to amass wealth overnight, but to steadily accumulate a safety net that can cushion you against unforeseen financial shocks. Growing your emergency fund may require some sacrifices and adjustments, but the peace of mind it brings is truly priceless. So, there you have it. Growing your emergency fund may seem like a daunting task, but with these strategies, you're well on your way to building a robust financial safety net. And as you continue to automate your savings, cut down on expenses, and explore additional income sources, you'll find that your fund will grow steadily and surely. Remember, every little bit you add to your emergency fund brings you closer to financial stability. So you've got an emergency fund, but when should you use it? Now, this is a question that requires a clear understanding. An emergency fund, as its name suggests, is for emergencies only. These aren't the latest sale at your favorite store or that new gadget you've been eyeing. No, these are for the unexpected, necessary expenses that life throws your way. Imagine your car breaks down and it's your only means of transportation. Or a sudden health issue arises that isn't fully covered by your insurance. Perhaps there's a sudden job loss and you need to cover living expenses while you find a new one. These are the times when your emergency fund steps in, acting as a financial safety net, keeping you afloat when you're in a pinch. It's essential to remember that your emergency fund isn't a luxury account or a travel fund. It's a buffer between you and high-cost, unexpected life events. So it's crucial to use it sparingly and only when absolutely necessary. Your emergency fund is for real emergencies. Use it wisely. The power of an emergency fund cannot be overstated. It's like a guardian angel for your finances, always there to catch you when life's unexpected expenses try to push you off the stability cliff. Let's take a quick walk down memory lane, shall we? We started off by discussing that dreaded unexpected emergency. It's like an unwanted guest that shows up at the most inconvenient times. But with an emergency fund, you've got a secret weapon that turns the tables, allowing you to tackle these surprises head-on. Then, we ventured into the realm of what an emergency fund is and established it as more than just a stash of cash. It's a financial buffer, a protective barrier that shields you from the hard blows of financial uncertainty, giving you the strength and resilience to bounce back. Afterward, we delved into setting up your emergency fund. We learned it's not about hoarding huge sums of money overnight. It's a gradual process, starting with a humble $1,000, then growing over time. It's like planting a seed and nurturing it patiently until it becomes a strong tree, providing shade and shelter. We also explored how to grow your emergency fund. Remember, it's not about making drastic changes to your lifestyle or living on bread and water. It's about making smart financial decisions, automating your savings, and letting the magic of compound interest work its wonders. And let's not forget the golden rule of when to use your emergency fund. It's not a piggy bank for impulse purchases or a wallet for your wish list items. It's a reserve for genuine emergencies, a financial first aid kit that's there for you when you need it the most. The power of an emergency fund cannot be overstated. It's a financial safety net that catches you when you fall, a cushion that softens the impact of life's financial blows. An emergency fund is not just a safety net, it's your peace of mind. Start building yours today and secure your financial future. Don't forget to subscribe to Online with Teresa for more financial tips. Thank you for watching.